Are you guys looking at my presentation?
Yes, we
All
can
right,
see it.
awesome. Now, same rules as the last group. I will tell you that I'm full screen and I can't see the chat box, so feel free to ask your questions. Erin, I'm going to ask you to relay those questions to me, either as they come in or if you want to wait till the end, however you want to run it. You can also take yourselves off mute and ask a question at any point during the presentation. So April is Safe Digging Month this year. Was a strange April because of the pandemic. We actually stopped all of our advertising for Safe Digging Month in April. Gina Raimondo was great about always pushing through this proclamation for us to raise awareness of the Dig Safe program among excavators and contractors. We postponed until August, the big rollout of our TV and our billboards, because we didn't know how the pandemic was going to affect the workforce of the utility locators. A lot of companies had to shut down for a couple of weeks, so we decided, let's take our advertising dollars and postpone our campaign. So we ran full force in August, and I'm happy to say that last year we're up 2% in tickets, even though this awful crisis is happening. We've seen a huge surge in tickets from homeowners who are grounded at home and have, more income because they didn't go on vacation and they're not spending money on dining out. So we saw a lot of tickets for swimming pools and basketball hoops and tennis courts, and a lot of people making home improvements. To my left is Roger Cook from This Old House. He is actually the landscape expert on the show, and he is our Dig Safe ambassador. He called me about 10 years ago and said, I promote your show on my own show and on This Old House, and I'd love to be a part of your advertising. And he offers his fame to us for free to get the safety message out there. So we're very happy for that. We advertise on let me see, WPRI during the excavation season down in Rhode Island. I don't know why all of these slides for advertising are showing up on this slide deck. I apologize, I would have hidden these, but we advertise in Cranston. I believe it's exit 15. We have a big billboard that you can see, and we used to fly over big events like the Newport Jazz Festival and the Newport beaches over the summer, but we didn't last year. I like to start the presentation about Dig Safe after I talk about advertising, to get into what Dig Safe is and what we're not. A lot of people get our roles and responsibilities wrong in the damage prevention program. So just so everybody understands what it is that we do, we're not a government agency. Dig Safe is a private, not-for-profit company, and we're funded by all the utilities that participate in the Dig Safe program. And we charge utility companies dues according to how big they are, how many miles of underground facilities they own in their service territories. So Massachusetts and Rhode Island, Verizon owns more facilities than anyone else, so they pay into the Dig Safe program more than anyone else. And it is a free service for anyone to use. So whether you're a contractor or a homeowner, calling Dig Safe will always be free. We're located in Wilmington, Massachusetts. And from that one location, we handle 5 New England states. So if you're an excavator in Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, or Vermont, you would notify us and we would forward the information about your job over to the utility companies. So we're a clearinghouse. We take the information from anybody who plans to excavate. You provide us with the information of where the job is and what you're doing. And we contact the utility owners, usually by email. We send out what's called a Dig Safe ticket. And on that ticket is all the particulars about your job. So we don't actually do the marking. There's so many people who think that Dig Safe are the folks that are doing the marking out in the field, and it's not us. We're just the clearinghouse. So the folks that actually put the paint on the ground and put the flags in the ground are either the utility companies themselves. I know that National Grid in Rhode Island does their own markouts using their own union people. And another way of marking out facilities, the facility operator can use a contract locating firm. on their behalf to mark for them. And a big one in Rhode Island is known as USIC. Another one is Bullseye Locating. But just know that the folks that you're encountering in the field, they're not DigSafe employees. They're either the utility or their contractor. So I'm going to be going through a bunch of different slides just in the interest of saving time. Sorry about this. So DigSafe does not enforce the DigSafe law. I drive around in a truck that's well identified with our logo and phone number. And anytime I drive by, folks stop digging. They think I'm gonna either look for stuff that I see wrong or do an audit or a cold call. There's no one at DigSafe that has any enforcement authority. It actually goes to the Rhode Island DPUC, the Rhode Island Public Department of Utilities and Carriers. They're in Warwick on Jefferson Avenue, and they oversee the DigSafe program for the state of Rhode Island. And they look at our performance as a call center. They look at the markout, the job of the markout people, and they also investigate damage. First offense in Rhode Island is $350, and any subsequent offense of the DigSafe law within 12 calendar months is $2,500. I'm really happy about this one. The fine money that goes into the general fund, DigSafe usually doesn't see it, but Ken McCarthy from Rhode Island has told me that 10% of all of the money collected for DigSafe fines is going to a damage prevention education program. So every March, we usually hold a big meeting either in Warwick or Newport. And last year and the year before, we held it at the casino in Lincoln, Twin Rivers. We had hosted over 400 union contractors and some utility companies. So 10% is being kicked back towards those training initiatives, which I'm thrilled about. A big question comes up is who's required to notify DigSafe? Anyone who digs has to call DigSafe, whether you're a homeowner, a city or town, a utility, or an excavator. The DigSafe law applies to everyone. In Rhode Island, there are certain utility types that have to be part of the DigSafe program. By that, I mean they have to help fund us. They have to update their utility territories on our digital map anytime they put a new installation in the ground. That has to be reflected on our system. So we know to call that utility when people are digging in that area. And they're also required to respond and mark out within 72 hours. So the utilities, the facility operators in Rhode Island that have to do those three things are electric, gas, telecommunications, and cable television. So those have to be members of DigSafe. There is an exemption, water and sewer, municipalities, if they own traffic or fire alarm, municipalities have to call as excavators, but they do not have to be part of the DigSafe program to protect their facilities. Right now, excavators can call a city or a town for a water or sewer markout, but the law doesn't require them to be indexed through DigSafe. I've seen several attempts on the state level to make this happen, not only in Rhode Island, but our other 4 states, and it hasn't happened yet. But if you go to digsafe.com, we have a membership page that you can go to see all the existing members of DigSafe. And there are quite a few cities and towns in Rhode Island that go above and beyond and are DigSafe members. I know Providence, East Providence, Little Compton, Charlestown, Coventry, there's a few of them. So you can look that up online. And if you want to be a member yourself, if you want to receive DigSafe notices when people are digging, you can become a voluntary member of DigSafe. And all the information to become a member is at digsafe.com as well. So the cost structure is fairly simple. Most cities and towns in Rhode Island have less than 100 miles of underground facilities or street miles. So we would consider them a general member of DigSafe, and general members pay $1 per notification. So anytime we send you an email of a ticket so you can mark it out and respond to it, it's $1. So if you want to discuss that with me, you're more than welcome to offline. And again, all the information about becoming a member of DigSafe is available on our website. I spoke about those 3 slides already. So for what areas on the ground do you have to call DigSafe? What about rural areas? I know in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, people live up on a mountain and their driveway is 3/4 of a mile long. And we get this question, do I still have to notify DigSafe? And in Rhode Island, the language is this: if you're working within 100 feet of an underground facility, you have to call DigSafe, whether that's public or private property. So unless you know for certain, it begs the question, well, how do I know whether I'm within 100 feet? You have to call to find out. That's how it kind of forces you into the notification. It's if you damage an underground facility and don't have a DigSafe number, guess what? You are within 100 feet, and you now have to speak to the DPU or the DPUC about that. So private property, if you're a homeowner, this slide was submitted to me by the gas company. The homeowner said, I don't want to call DigSafe to put in this fence, and told the fencing contractor, don't even bother. But to the credit of the fence contractor, they did call DigSafe. And this is where the gas line ended up. The homeowner 2 years before that put a fire pit right over the gas line, and he lights fires over it time and time again. So homeowners, it's just as important to notify DigSafe as you would in a public right-of-way or in a street. Here's another one. This is right in front of DigSafe's building back in Woburn, Massachusetts. Contractor was extending that guardrail in the background to in front of our building, called for a ticket, and this is where the gas line is. Right before that, a sign company pounded in this enormous wooden sign and just barely missed. That's a gas main, that's not a service. So DigSafe would have had to have evacuated on that day. Scary stuff. What is an excavation? In Rhode Island, it's considered the movement or removal of the earth. And there's a lot of verbs embedded in the definition of an excavation. So if you ask, what types of activities qualify, pretty much almost every excavation activity qualifies as digging. So don't leave any excavation jobs to chance. Call in for that DigSafe number. There is a hand digging exemption for using hand tools in the state of Rhode Island, which is to say they can't fine you if you hit an underground facility and you weren't using mechanized equipment. So if you had a shovel or a spade, or if you were only using hand power to manipulate the earth, you can't be fined, but just please be cautioned that the utility companies can still charge you for damage of a direct buried line. You could still come in contact with it and electrocute yourself or hit a gas line on private property. It's still dangerous. So even though that exemption exists in Rhode Island for hand tools, I'm begging everybody to ignore it. Just go ahead and get that DigSafe number anyway. This was a hand tool job. Tent company pounded with a rubber mallet a stake for a tent right into the center of the gas line. So hand tools, this was a major event. Tilling the soil for agricultural purposes is also an exemption in Rhode Island. So farmers get a break there, but just be also aware that there is no shallow depth exemption. Too many people get on the hook by saying, well, I didn't think I had to call DigSafe because I was going less than 6 inches or whatever amount they give us. It doesn't exist, that language in the law. Any depth that you plan to excavate, you still need a DigSafe number. You can call 811 to reach DigSafe, but another thing that we're getting out is, it says quick ticket, but the new program that just launched is called ExactPix. So we are now working on a brand new web-based program to process your existing DigSafe tickets. And you can actually get your own tickets online now using this web-based program. If you tried our program in the past, our former quick ticket, ExactPix, it's like going from a bicycle to a rocket ship. Our new program is fast, it's slick, it's intuitive, and it gives you the capability of storing all of your tickets, and you can share them, copy them, print them, renew them. There's a lot that you can do now because you have a dashboard of all your tickets. So go to digsafe.com and sign up for ExactPix, which is the brand new program. And if your city or town wants training on Exactix of all of its features and how easy it is, and if you need a demonstration, I'm more than happy to go through that with you. So when you provide DigSafe information for a ticket, we're going to be looking at your address or location. You can give us latitude and longitude to describe a dig site. But when you're getting a ticket, you can also give us place names. I'm working at McDonald's. You can say that you're working on a given street between two cross streets. You can give distance and direction from a landmark like a pole or an intersecting street. Just do your best to describe the excavation. So when the locators get there, there's no question as to where you're working. I'm going to be breezing through a bunch of these different slides. Thought I hid these, I apologize. So we're also going to ask for the name of your subcontractor, who's doing the excavation. And it's important to do that. If cities and towns are digging themselves, we're going to ask that question when you take the ticket. But if it's someone else, a different contractor, please let us know who it is. That way you're taking the onus of responsibility off of you and putting it directly on the excavator. Is there a question on that? No. The law requires you to pre-mark the location of the dig before you notify DigSafe, and they want you to use white to do that. So just define the areas where you want to dig in white and let the utility companies know that, yes, this is where I plan to dig. If you're giving a single point as an indicator, if you put an X on the ground and say you're doing a test boring right at this location, we're asking you to give the utilities a radius. Say I'm working within a 25-foot radius of that stake. That way, if there's a conflict and there's a utility in the way of where you want to put that test boring or plant that tree or whatever it is you're doing, you have the freedom to pick up your job and move it over within the radius that you put on the ticket. So always build out a little bit for yourself. Here's a good example of pre-marking. Somebody put brackets instead of, and another thing I like is they put DPW next to the pre-mark. Not the words DigSafe like I see, but they're tagging their own ticket with the initials DPW. So when the locator gets there, there's no question in their mind that this is your ticket and that's your job. Here's another good example. This is where they want to put a sign. They put it out in the street in an arrow and they actually marked where the sign should go. Again, a single point indicator. You can actually just put it on the stake. You can write with a Sharpie, your company initials in the radius that you'd like covered on the ticket. You're also required to give a 72-hour notice in Rhode Island, not including weekends and holidays. So for regular jobs, standard non-emergencies, you got to give it 3 business days. Here are the holidays that that don't count towards your start date. It's pretty much the same holidays that all of you guys celebrate. And there's one that's state specific to Rhode Island, which is Victory Day. That doesn't count towards your legal start date. So just be aware of that. For emergencies, the emergency means that you call us and tell us when you want to dig. We don't expect you to wait the full 72 if you have a condition that needs remedying right away. So if you need to get in the ground, call immediately for an emergency. In Rhode Island, the facility operators are required to respond to your emergency within 3 hours. And that's sort of new language that happened, I want to say it was in 2007, that they actually gave a prescribed response time for emergency tickets. Now, this color code system that you see is, everybody is adhering to it, not just the American Public Works Association, but it's now internationally recognized. So you know what you're looking at out in the field. So red is electric, yellow is gas, oil, or steam, orange is a communications line, blue is water, green is sewer, and the list goes on. We have a lot of materials at DigSafe that have this color code right on it. We have an excavator manual on our website. We have decals and stickers with this code on it, so it's easy. You can go to digsafe.com and order all kinds of educational materials and swag for your crews. Go to digsafe.com and click on free materials and we'll ship you what you like. This is terminology that's industry specific to us, and it's called positive response. And what it means is the utilities that respond on a ticket have to let you know if they're not coming. So say you get a DigSafe ticket and we notified, 7 utility companies on it, but only 4 actually have underground where you plan to dig. The utilities that have underground have to mark out within 72 hours, of course, but the utilities that get the ticket that are not in conflict have to reach out to you that they're not coming. They can either spray paint it right on the ground, like no electric, no Cat B, no gas. They can also send you an email or call you to let you know that they're not coming. So positive response is now in there. So respecting the tolerance zone, this is an important one, and I spend a little bit of time talking about this. I will say that the #1 cause of utility damage in Rhode Island is not failure to notify DigSafe. The #1 cause of damage is one more scoop. It's the folks that assume that line is a lot deeper than it is. They know where the line is because the utilities came out, they called DigSafe, but they're not trying to avoid damage. They'll put the bucket right over the facilities and start digging, thinking that it's a lot deeper than it is. So it's a problem throughout the country, and every state within their statute or rules has some language to say that non-mechanized equipment it's important when you're working within the 18 inches. So no big buckets. If the DPUC finds any damage to a facility within 18 inches of a mark out, the responsibility is considered the excavators. And if it's within the 18 inches, we would consider that a mismark and it wouldn't be your responsibility. But when you're out in the field encountering utility marks, this is how you build out that safety zone or assume that tolerant zone. Always assume that the center of an underground facility, the double-ended arrow is right over on top of it. So, and they're not showing you the 18-inch tolerant zone, which includes the width of the facility with paint. They're not showing it to you. They're just telling you that the diameter of the pipe is 6 inches wide. So to assume the tolerant zone, that's the width of the pipe plus 18 inches on either side. So if it's a 6-inch pipe, assume 3 inches on either side of it. If it were a 12-inch pipe and you see 12 inches next to the marking, assume 6 inches on either side of the pipe, right? Just take the number and split it in half. And then from that point, go out another 18 inches, which is your tolerant zone or your safety zone. Again, non-mechanized equipment to safely uncover this facility. There's other types of equipment that you can use it is mechanized, but it does qualify as safe within the tolerant zone. And you can use a shovel, you can use an air spade. Vacuum excavation equipment is another thing that's very helpful for cities and towns. Whether you rent one or own one, sucking the mass of the earth from around an underground facility is deemed an acceptable and safe way to do it. So keep that in mind. Here's somebody who clearly didn't obey the tolerant zone. I don't mean to pick on the tent companies, but a tent company bothers calling DigSafe to find out where the gas line is and then proceeds to pound stakes right over the gas line. So again, this would be a violation of the DigSafe law. Actually, this happened in Vermont, and this company was fined because they came within inches of puncturing a plastic gas pipe. You're also required as excavators to maintain those marks. So once the utilities get out there and put the marks on the ground, and the marks can be compromised by rain, it can wash away. Kids can pull those flags out of the ground on private property. Tell your kids, leave those colored flags in the ground until the digging is complete. Lawn mowing takes off those flags that the utilities leave. So refresh those marks yourselves, or if all goes wrong and the marks are beyond recognition, you can call DigSafe back for a remark. The remark notification is 48 hours in in Rhode Island. So go ahead and let the utilities know that, gas marks are gone or electric is gone. It's for everyone's safety to keep up with those marks. Now, this is something that's sort of a bone of contention in the state of Rhode Island. There's a national consortium. It's like a big group of damage prevention professionals called the Common Ground Alliance. And they carry a lot of political weight now in this industry, and they're very influential. And one of their best practices, it's sort of a Bible of the Common Ground Alliance, is their best practices guide. And they're saying that every ticket should have some expiration because it's dangerous for an excavator to dig on a ticket that's 7 months old. You better believe the marks aren't as fresh now as they were 7 years ago. And we lobbied so hard in Massachusetts to get that 30-day ticket, that expiration. Rhode Island went in the opposite direction and dropped their expiration date. And it's because there was a lot of stuff going on in Providence. There was a lot of housing, affluent neighborhoods and homeowner groups that thought it was graffiti on the ground for Providence Water and others to call back every 30 days. So they just did without the expiration. So I guess indefinitely you can hang on to a dig safe number in Rhode Island until the end of time. I don't love this. And I tell folks in Rhode Island to go ahead, and if you have an ongoing job, please renew it at least every 30 days anyway. That way you're making sure that the marks are fresh and you know where the underground lines are located. You can't do that on an old ticket. So I'm not happy with this expiration in Rhode Island. So just know as excavators and homeowners, if there's private facilities buried underground on their properties, our members aren't responsible to mark them. They're responsible to mark what they own or maintain when they respond on a DigSafe ticket. And I can tell you the gas and phone and cable television, they own that facility all the way up to a dwelling or a building, and we expect them to mark it as such. But with electric lines, there's some gray area. Electric companies usually own, the point of ownership is at a handhole, a transformer, a meter, a pole. And from that point forward, the contractor brings the electric to the house, and they don't have a record of that underground facility. So just, we give you that disclaimer when you call us that our members are only responsible to mark what's theirs. But if you want to do your homework, we do have a list of private locating firms that do show up and mark out any type of facility using their own equipment outside of the DigSafe program. So you'd go to digsafe.com and click on private locators. And we ask big cities and towns and big contractors, why not own your own locating equipment? Most, and there's a link to do that too. There's people who sell locating equipment are on our website. We have links for those, but they can come out and show your organization, the basic principles of locating and how to use it. So that way, yes, you're still required to get a DigSafe number, but now you have a piece of equipment where you can go over and check for other stuff as well. It's a good idea. And here's that webpage I just spoke of, the private utility locating. So for DigSafe tickets, we give you an 11-digit DigSafe number for every job that you phone into us. And now we have digitized our system. I used to say that we hold on to these tickets for 7 years, but now we have a digital database of tickets moving forward. So if you needed to retrieve a ticket, we can do that. And Exactix users, I'll plug our new program again. If you go and create an Exactix account, you can store and look at all of your DigSafe numbers, and you can share them. You can send an email to the DPUC if they want a particular DigSafe number. You can copy it and send it to somebody else. So there's a way of there's a dashboard it gives you to manage all of your DigSafe tickets. So I'm going to be breezing through these next slides because they were intended for a different group of people. The member utilities of Rhode Island have to turn excavators in and fill out a report for damage through the DPUC, the Department of Public Utilities. It's not a requirement in Rhode Island for excavators to report damage, but we really recommend excavators do. If a utility isn't marking correctly, or if they don't show up on the job site for you, or God forbid you hit a utility and you don't feel as though you're at fault for it, we're asking that you submit your side of the story. Use the same form the utilities use to turn you in. It's called an NOPV, a Notice of Probable Violation form, and you can get them on our website. Fill out the form, because you know the utility company has to submit their side of the story. Fill out the form so the investigator has the whole story. Again, digsafe.com, look for violation report forms. If you go to digsafe.com, again, I strongly recommend everybody download the laws in Rhode Island for DigSafe. I think it's about 11 pages long. I try to just highlight the most important aspects of the law, but it's a good idea to have a full copy of it too. And if there's any new laws or anything under consideration for the state of Rhode Island in terms of DigSafe legislation or requirements, we post it on our website as well, well in advance. So you can either lend your support to a bill that you think is great, or you can voice your opinion if you hate it. Please follow me on social media. It's a way to engage with contractors and member utilities and locating firms. So I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on YouTube. We have a lot of public service announcements with Roger Cook from This Old House. He's on YouTube. We have a lot of training videos, so check that out as well. And at this point, I'm gonna, I see only two people besides Jeff and Aaron in the room. Do either of you guys have any questions in terms of how DigSafe works or what your requirements are?
There's 22 people, so.
Oh, there's 22 of you. I only can see 3, so that's wonderful. Is there any questions in your chat box, Aaron?
Not yet.
And does anybody want to take themselves off mute to comment or question? I know I went really quick at the last meeting just an hour ago. I was going at a quick pace too, just to try to cram both of these in at once. So if I wasn't clear on a topic, or if you want me to discuss anything more, we can take this discussion offline. I'm available at lpowers@digsafe.com. You can find my contact information also on the website on the contact page.
Lisa, did you mention the promotional materials?
Oh, I did not, and thank you for that, Jeff. I appreciate
it. And I did receive a small package of promotional materials the other day. And I know you mentioned that I should be expecting a much larger package. And so I made room in my warehouse for that.
Oh, good. So Jeff, I got to tell you, the situation at DigSafe is everybody's at home, including our mail person. We had another big surge up here.
Oh, geez.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we had a big surge in our area schools and in the town of Wilmington, where I am now, and in my hometown of Reading, Massachusetts. So there's nobody to mail your stuff. And if you see stuff incrementally, it's going to come in. And yes.
Okay, that's fine.
A big spot. And for everybody else listening, one of the questions from our group earlier was how can I help promote DigSafe to homeowners and the community in my own city or town? And the answer was well, usually when we have in-person events, back when things were normal, every city has a touch a truck day or a community safety day or a DPW day. DigSafe has a whole garage full of educational material and some, fun tchotchkes, things to pass out that has the 811 phone number on it as a reminder. So if you go to our website at digsafe.com, there's a tab called Order Free Items. Please feel free to order items for your own road crews. And also for the community at large. We have plenty of everything. Our inventory, quite frankly, our garage is stuffed with stuff because we haven't had any in-person trainings or meetings in the past year. So I'm looking to move some of this stuff, help me out with that. We're happy to ship you anything you need. So if you go to the Order Free Items page and tell me how much of everything we offer you need.